Have you ever wondered why some people can achieve almost everything and still feel restless inside? Alexander the Great was one of those people. At only 32 years old, he had conquered most of the known world. Kings feared him. Soldiers followed him across deserts, mountains, and endless battlefields. His name became legendary while he was still alive. But here is the strange part. One day, this powerful conqueror visited a man who owned almost nothing. Not a king, not a warrior, not even a rich philosopher, just a poor man sitting under the sun. And that meeting may explain the real struggle inside Alexander's mind better than any battle ever could. The philosopher's name was Diogenes. When Alexander arrived, surrounded by guards and generals, he asked a simple question. Is there anything I can do for you? Most people would ask for money, or protection, or power, but Diogenes looked at him and said, yes, move away. You are blocking the sunlight. Imagine hearing that when you control armies and entire nations. Everyone around Alexander laughed, but Alexander did not laugh, because deep inside, he understood something terrifying. This man with nothing might actually be freer than him. That moment is not just a funny historical story. It reveals one of the biggest questions in human life. Is freedom found in having everything or needing nothing? And that question followed Alexander for the rest of his life. Before Alexander became a conqueror, he was simply a young boy with enormous expectations placed on him. His father was King Philip of Macedon, one of the strongest rulers in Greece, but Philip did something unusual. He hired the greatest teacher alive to educate his son. That teacher was Aristotle. Yes, the Aristotle, the philosopher who changed science, logic, politics, ethics, and philosophy forever. For several years, young Alexander studied under him in a quiet place filled with gardens and long walking paths. While other boys learned how to fight, Alexander learned how to think. He studied literature, medicine, philosophy, and science. He learned how people behave, how leaders influence others, how civilizations rise and fall. And one book affected him more than anything else: the Iliad, the story of Achilles. Achilles was not just a warrior. He represented an idea. A short life filled with greatness was better than a long life forgotten by history. That idea entered Alexander's mind very deeply. He did not want an ordinary life. He wanted immortality through greatness, not literal immortality, but the kind where people remember your name thousands of years later. And honestly, it worked. Because right now, after more than 2,000 years, we are still talking about him. But there was also danger inside this dream. When someone becomes obsessed with greatness, normal life starts feeling small. Peace becomes boring. Rest feels like weakness, and stopping feels impossible. Alexander slowly became addicted to pushing further, further than other kings, further than other armies, further than other humans thought possible. There is a Greek word that helps explain Alexander better than almost anything else: pathos. It means a deep emotional longing, a hunger inside you that never fully disappears. Not hunger for food, hunger for meaning, for purpose, for something bigger. Some people feel it their whole lives, even after success, even after money, even after achieving goals. They still feel like something is missing. Alexander had that feeling constantly. Every victory only pushed him toward the next one. After conquering Greece, he wanted Persia. After Persia, he wanted Egypt. After Egypt, he wanted lands nobody around him had even seen before. It was as if he was chasing a horizon that kept moving away. And maybe many people today understand this feeling better than they realize. You reach one goal, and suddenly it feels empty. You think happiness is waiting after success, but once you arrive there, your mind immediately searches for another mountain to climb. Alexander lived exactly like that. Always moving, always chasing, never satisfied. And maybe that is why his story still feels modern. Because the world today also rewards endless ambition. More money, more followers, more success, more achievement. But almost nobody asks an important question: what happens when the chase becomes your entire identity? One of the most interesting things about Alexander is that he slowly started disagreeing with his own teacher. Aristotle believed Greeks were superior to other civilizations. Many people in ancient Greece thought foreigners were uncivilized. But Alexander traveled across the world and saw something different. He met Persian leaders with honor, Egyptian priests with deep wisdom, Indian thinkers who challenged him in philosophical debates. And slowly, his view changed. Instead of seeing enemies everywhere, he became curious about people. That was rare for conquerors. Most rulers invade lands and destroy cultures. Alexander often tried to combine cultures together. He wore Persian clothing. He encouraged marriages between different groups. He invited foreign soldiers into his army. His own generals hated this idea. They believed Macedonians should stay above everyone else. But Alexander saw the world differently. He believed wisdom could exist anywhere. And honestly, this idea was far ahead of his time. Because even today, many people fear what is different. Different cultures, different languages, different beliefs. Alexander's life suggests something important. Traveling far enough can destroy your arrogance. When you truly experience other people and other cultures, it becomes harder to believe your world is the only correct one. And maybe that is one reason why knowledge changes people. The more you learn, the less certain you become. But now we reach the uncomfortable part of the story. Alexander was inspiring, but he was also dangerous, sometimes brutally dangerous. He destroyed entire cities. He killed enemies without mercy, and as his power grew, his emotions became harder to control. One night during an argument, he killed one of his closest friends in anger. Afterward, he collapsed in grief. That moment reveals something powerful about human nature. A person can be intelligent, visionary, even philosophical, and still lose control of themselves. Power does not automatically create wisdom. In fact, sometimes power removes the limits that normally stop people from becoming worse versions of themselves. Alexander wanted greatness, but greatness came with pressure, loneliness, paranoia, and emotional instability. History often shows us successful people only at their strongest moments, but real humans are more complicated than legends. Alexander could inspire armies and still feel emotionally broken inside. He could conquer nations and still fail to conquer himself. And honestly, that may be the most human part of his entire story. Alexander survived battles, deserts, assassination attempts, massive wars. But there was one thing he could never defeat: loss. When his closest companion, Hephaestion, died from illness, Alexander completely broke emotionally. Ancient writers describe him lying beside the body for days. The man who faced armies without fear could not handle grief, and maybe this is the most important lesson in his entire story. No amount of success protects you from being human. Not money, not fame, not power, not intelligence. At the end of the day, every person still feels pain, still experiences loss, still fears death. Alexander spent his whole life trying to become larger than ordinary humans, but grief forced him back into ordinary humanity again. And maybe that is why his story feels tragic instead of simply glorious. Because deep down, he was searching for something impossible, a victory over human limitation itself. But nobody escapes that completely, not even Alexander the Great. Alexander died at only 32 years old. Some say from illness, some believe poison. Nobody knows for certain. But imagine this for a moment. You conquer most of the known world and still die younger than many ordinary people today. In the end, all his victories could not stop death from arriving. And maybe that is why the story of Diogenes matters so much. Because Alexander spent his life chasing more land, more glory, more achievement, while Diogenes believed freedom came from wanting less. Two completely different philosophies. And honestly, humanity is still stuck between them today. Some people spend life climbing endlessly. Others try to escape the race completely. Most of us move somewhere between both extremes. Maybe the real lesson is not that one man was correct and the other was wrong. Maybe the lesson is that humans need both ambition and peace. The courage to grow, but also the wisdom to know when enough is enough. Alexander changed history forever, but perhaps the reason we still remember him is not only because he conquered the world. It is because his struggles still look exactly like ours. The hunger for meaning, the fear of being forgotten, the desire to become something greater, and the realization that even extraordinary people remain human in the end. That is why his story survived for more than 2,000 years, and maybe that is the closest thing to immortality anyone can achieve. If this video made you think differently about ambition, success, or life itself, make sure to subscribe. Because on this channel, we explore the ideas, psychology, and stories that change the way you see the world. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and tell me in the comments, would you rather live like Alexander or like Diogenes?